Why you must learn to walk alone, the hidden law of power and peace. Have you ever noticed how silence makes most people nervous? That awkward tension when no one's talking, and suddenly someone blurts out something meaningless, just to escape the quiet? That's not random. That's fear. The fear of being alone with yourself. But here's a truth few will admit: until you can walk alone, truly alone, you will never be free. Not from others. Not from your own mind. You've been taught to chase belonging, to constantly explain yourself, to be understood. But the world doesn't reward the ones who beg to be understood. It rewards the ones who understand themselves. Most people live their lives like mirrors, reflecting everything around them but never producing light of their own. They laugh when others laugh, grow angry when others are angry, follow the current like leaves in a river. Plato once wrote that the unexamined life is not worth living. But today, most people would rather die than sit alone in silence and confront the noise in their own heads. The endless scrolling, the constant noise, the need to be seen, it all points to one disease: the fear of solitude. You can see it in your own behavior. The moment you feel unseen, unvalidated, you start to shrink, to question your worth. But what if I told you that solitude isn't a punishment? It's training. The kind that forges warriors, philosophers, and kings. Niccolò Machiavelli once advised rulers to maintain distance, not out of arrogance, but out of wisdom. Because closeness, he said, breeds contempt. The more people think they know you, the less they respect you. It's a brutal truth: familiarity kills mystery. And mystery is power. When you pull back from the crowd, when you stop explaining yourself, people begin to wonder who you really are. They fill in the silence with their own imagination. And that imagination is far more powerful than any speech you could give. Even in your personal life, try it. Withdraw a little. Speak less. Observe more. Watch how people start to chase what they can't easily reach. This isn't manipulation. It's nature. Human beings desire what eludes them. We live in an age where everyone is desperate to be seen, to post, to perform, to prove. But Machiavelli, Nietzsche, and even ancient Stoics would laugh at this madness. Because the moment you expose everything, you become predictable, and predictable people are powerless. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it hides in restraint. The strongest man in the room isn't the loudest, it's the one who could destroy everything, but chooses not to. He's mastered himself. He's at peace. In a world obsessed with visibility, invisibility becomes a superpower. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German theologian who opposed the Nazi regime, wrote that true freedom comes not from following the crowd, but from standing against it, even if you stand alone. He was executed for that conviction. Yet, his words still echo through history: silence in the face of evil is itself evil. There are moments when solitude isn't just a personal preference, it's a moral stance. When you refuse to be swept up in the hysteria of the masses, when you dare to think for yourself, you begin to touch the edge of real power. Because power isn't domination over others. It's dominion over yourself. Psychologists call it individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating the parts of yourself you've denied. Carl Jung said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. Think about that. Every time you avoid silence, you avoid meeting the parts of yourself that scare you. The anger you repress. The envy you deny. The wounds you bury. All of it grows stronger in the dark. But when you face it, when you sit alone long enough to truly see what's inside you, something shifts. You stop needing others to validate you. You stop chasing approval. You become solid. Like a mountain unmoved by storms. Solitude is not isolation. Isolation weakens you. Solitude sharpens you. When a samurai trains alone, he isn't escaping the world. He's preparing to face it with precision. When Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations, he wasn't talking to an audience. He was talking to himself, reminding his soul who it must become when no one is watching. You must learn to do the same. Your solitude is your forge. It's where your identity is burned, hammered, and shaped into something unbreakable. And when you return to the world, you'll notice something strange: the noise no longer controls you. You can walk through chaos and remain calm. You can be insulted and feel nothing. You can be alone and not feel lonely. That's real strength. Ask yourself this: why do people who are always available often go unnoticed? It's because value comes from scarcity. Even your presence must have boundaries. When you give yourself too freely, you teach others to take you for granted. Machiavelli would say, guard your presence as you would guard your treasure. The more selective you are with your attention, your time, your words, the more valuable you become. Don't respond immediately. Don't explain everything. Don't chase those who walk away. Let silence speak for you. Because silence, when mastered, commands more respect than words ever will. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe." And he was right. The world despises the one who stands alone. It mocks what it cannot control. When you refuse to conform, when you no longer crave the tribe's approval, you become dangerous. Not because you're violent, but because you're free. And freedom terrifies those who live in chains. But Nietzsche also warned of a darker truth: solitude can break you if you enter it without purpose. That's why he said, he who fights with monsters should see to it that he does not become one. Meaning, if you isolate yourself only out of resentment or pride, solitude becomes poison. But if you enter it seeking truth, it becomes your liberation. There's an old legend about a king who ruled wisely for many years. One morning, he vanished, no word, no sign, no successor. The court panicked. Ministers argued. The people lost faith. Months passed before the king returned, wearing simple clothes, carrying a book. He said, "I had to disappear to remember who I was without the crown." His absence had strengthened his rule, because in disappearing, he made people remember his value. He taught them a truth most leaders forget: power fades when it's constantly displayed. It grows when it's withheld. You say you want respect. But do you respect yourself enough to be alone? To walk away from noise, from validation, from shallow comfort? Self-respect isn't built by what others give you. It's built by what you refuse to compromise on. And that often means walking paths where no one claps for you. It means being misunderstood. It means silence. But here's the paradox: when you stop chasing validation, it begins to chase you. Because people can sense when someone belongs to themselves, completely. And that kind of person can't be manipulated, broken, or bought. Walking alone doesn't mean you hate the world. It means you refuse to lose yourself in it. The goal isn't to withdraw forever. It's to return, stronger, clearer, and anchored in who you are. To move among people, not as a shadow begging for attention, but as a light that doesn't need permission to shine. Because once you've learned to walk alone, you'll never walk the same way again. You'll see through games, through masks, through illusions. You'll recognize who's genuine and who's performing. And most importantly, you'll realize that peace was never something to find. It was something to become. So tonight, when the world grows quiet, don't reach for your phone. Don't fill the silence. Sit in it. Let it strip you bare. Let it show you who you really are beneath the noise. That's where transformation begins, not in the applause of others, but in the silence of your own becoming. Because in the end, it's not those who are loved by everyone who changed the world. It's the ones who dared to stand alone.